Hello, welcome to Redmen TV Daily News Time. Four things bonus that I want to discuss today. Some transfer stuff, some new additions to Liverpool Football Club, and a piece of stand-up behaviour from an ex-Liverpool player as well, which is fantastic to see. We start, Chris, with the English Football League Cup.
Is that what we're calling it now?
That's what it's called.
I'm calling it the Carling Cup.
I'm
going to go back. No, I'm going to go Coca-Cola. I like Coca-Cola. It reminds me of Stephen McManaman.
I'll always go, it's always Rumble O's for me, just because it's such a random piece of trivia that there are people of a certain age. Si, any idea what Rumble O's is?
No.
No idea. See, no idea. Do you know what Comet is?
No. Doesn't know what Comet is?
Like the shop?
Yeah, we go.
Hell.
Yeah, it's like a Curry's or a Tandy. Which you won't know either. So yeah, Liverpool have been drawn Burton Albion.
Yeah.
Which is a decent draw. I was like, yeah, Burton Albion, great, we'll smash them. And
They're
then
in the Championship.
Championship side, yeah, showing my ignorance. And then revealing it to the world.
It's the first time that they're in the Championship, of course. They got promoted last season. I think they finished second in League One behind Wigan, I think. They finished second behind. So they got automatic promotion up there.
I like the fact that you've done some research.
Nigel Clough's the manager.
Absolutely, yeah, I knew that.
Dead interestingly, they only managed to make it into the Football League in 2009. So fair play to them getting from the bottom to the Championship in those 7 years and stuff. They played for like 40 years in lower than the Football League and stuff. So what a turnaround for what is essentially a small club like.
Yeah, it's amazing as well at the Nigel Clough thing, because he was there in that era. He was the manager, he cut his teeth as a manager at Burton and had a reasonable degree of success, and to see him back at that kind of level, fantastic. I mean, he's not fondly thought of as a Liverpool player as such.
Because he used to pass to opposition players all the time. That's literally all I remember of him.
It's funny.
It's just him passing to other teams.
Did he score 2 on his debut? Or at Anfield, certainly. And I remember him being like splashed all over the back page in the Mirror, like number 7, the new king of the cop. And yeah, no, he wasn't. No.
My biggest memory of him is passing the ball to Norwich and then Jeremy Goss scoring that fucking worldie in the last ever standing game of the cop.
There you go. My outstanding memory of him was just that he wasn't a Premier League player. No, the Premier League came too soon for him, basically. If the Football League had continued as it was, he was an old Division 1 player, and it's funny, the pace and intensity increased, and he didn't have that pace to keep. But anyway, we digress. Looking forward to that one. But what that means, of course, is that it confirms that our first home game of the season will actually be Leicester City.
We actually got special dispensation, didn't we? Yeah. Anyway, to have that game played at Burton.
Yeah. Cool. Oh, okay, there you go. The next piece of news then, we're going to come on some transfer stuff in a moment, but one thing I wanted to highlight, and this actually, I actually noticed this on Facebook first and foremost, and then when my phone catches up, I'll be able to tell you the exact details on it. But yeah, Howard Gale, former Liverpool centre forward.
First black player for Liverpool.
Yeah, born in Liverpool from Toxteth. He was offered an MBA. Now, I'll get the direct quote from his Facebook page. As most of you on my Facebook page are aware of the work that I do tackling racism and the work I do for Show Racism Red Card. For that work yesterday, I was nominated for an MBE, which unfortunately I had to decline the nomination for the reason that my ancestors would be turning in their graves after how empire and colonialism has enslaved them. This decision I have had to make, and there'll be others who may feel different and would enjoy the attraction of being a member of the British Empire and those 3 letters after their name, but I feel it would be a betrayal to all of the Africans who've lost their lives or who've suffered as a result of empire. Like, fantastic. You know, you consider the people who... Let's be honest about Howard Gale. He's not like never been a leading name in football as a player. He's not one of those guys. When people think back of Liverpool players, it's almost he's a bit of a
It was late 70s, wasn't he? There was a lot better players around that era.
Yeah, and as much as he was there at Liverpool at a very pivotal time, and he has that the history that he carries with him. It's not. He doesn't carry the reputation of a lot of the players who play for Liverpool in that era and beyond. So there would be guys who would jump at that. You know what I mean? Who would be like, an MB, thanks very much, and they would, and they flip out of it. And I think absolute credit to him for for maintaining his morals, sticking up to his guns.
What's amazing about it is that for a lot of MBEs and stuff, I've not heard of a lot of the MBEs that come out and stuff like that, but a lot of them get recognition on the back of the MBE. This guy's going to be getting recognition for turning down the MBE, and rightly so, in my opinion, as well. You said it yourself there, but I think you were whizzing through the statement. They basically asked him to become a member of the British Empire. That's what MBE stands for, isn't it? He believes that the empire and the colonialism is what enslaved black people in the first instance. So I'll never, ever be a part of the British Empire. And fair play to him for that. Yeah. He's standing up to his morals when actually, from a public point of view, he probably could do better by himself for taking the MBE on. Fair play. You got to respect that from a stand-up guy in football.
Yeah, massive respect to Howard Gale on that. Nice fella as well, actually. Move on then to transfer news. Player been linked today. Anwar El Ghazi, Ajax winger. He's only 21. Decent goal scorer on return in Eredivisie over the last 2 seasons. He's actually scored double figures in his 2 seasons in Eredivisie, which is good. You had a quick look.
I was excited.
Yeah.
I've not seen him play, you know what I mean? I watched I watched 2 videos actually. One of them didn't really make it. 2. 2 twos. No, I watched 2. One of the videos didn't really make it clear which one he was, which is when I asked you what number is he, Paul, because that was pretty crap. The other one, some really exciting stuff from quick feet, likes to play on both sides, doesn't he, by the looks of it, goals from the right hand side and the left hand side. And it's interesting off the back of what you were saying yesterday, where you think we'll sign someone to kind of match up Mane on the other side because he's made that big of a difference.
That's not what I said. What I said was, it's not necessarily not miles wrong from what I said, but I wouldn't be surprised to see us in the market for another winger who, whether he's there or not, not necessarily to match up on one side or the other, just so we've got another guy there that if Mane was to get injured, you wouldn't, because swapping Lallana out for Mane is not the same thing. Is it maybe someone who's between Ojo and Mane in terms of that kind of, but yeah, essentially that's, paraphrase, but ultimately that's what I was going for. And he looks like it, and the good thing about him from what you can see is whether he's 100% both-footed, I don't know, but he looks comfortable with both feet. He scores goals with both feet as well. And as you said, there's him playing as an out-and-out winger on the right-hand side. They've got him on the left-hand side, cutting in and shooting. What's interesting as well is he's actually now a full Dutch international. Got his first 2 caps in Euros qualifying off the back of according to Wikipedia, he had a chat with Cristiano Ronaldo about whether he should choose Holland or Morocco.
Amazing.
And Ronaldo said, basically, you've got a better chance of
winning something,
appearing in tournaments if you play for Holland. And then, of course, Holland didn't qualify for the Euros. So
where the cookie crumbles, isn't it?
There you go. But no, interesting. Actually, I think
any prices.
Around £15 million, they're talking.
And Leicester are the ones that are supposed to be vying for a signature, is that right with us?
Go for it, whatever. I'd be fine. I wouldn't have a problem with us making a move for someone like him. Again, £15 million. When you consider that we've sold Jordan Ibe for that amount of money.
So whereabouts in the squad you think £15 million gets you now? What type of a player £15 million gets you? It basically gets you a young kid in an attacking position, is what I'm taking from it.
A couple of years older than Ibe, proven it in a top division. Okay, Eredivisie's not, it's not La Liga, but it's consistent. We see a lot of let's use Serie A as an example. We see a lot of players playing Serie A and then not be able to get up to speed with the Premier League. I think it kind of goes either way with the Dutch league. You can see guys like Dirk Kuyt, goal machine in Holland, and then not be able to quite be that goal machine, but be a good player.
Side of that, you see Van Nistelrooy's and stuff.
Van Nistelrooy's, Luis Suarez's, who just come into the Premier League and they take
I think
a step
the one thing that I've always taken from the Dutch league, and I'm not saying I've sat here and watched hours and hours of it, but I've seen the odd game over the last few years, is that it is always good technical football, and you would imagine that from a Dutch league, wouldn't you, from how the national side plays. So technically, they're all very good footballers. The answer for me is whether they succeed in England is whether they can get up to the pace of the English game. Yeah. And that can be for anyone across any league in the world. The pace is completely different. Yeah. It's always going to be hard coming into the Premier League. Some of them stand up to it and some of them fall away.
Absolutely. And I think the good thing is that Ajax do have high standards, exactly what you're saying. They're all the way through academy level. They like a high quality of football, and you've got to look at probably if you went back and watched Usama Saidi's YouTube stuff again, he probably looked along those lines. I remember being quite excited seeing him, But again, Ajax do have a habit of getting these guys good quality goal scoring and flair-filled attacking players, and then going on and moving on and doing things in other European leagues. So yeah, again, there's no definites on that, but I'd be happy to see us take a punt on him anyway. Last piece of news, and it's probably the weirdest bit of news we've done.
It's a bit randomly.
Yeah, Jonathan Woodgate, Liverpool have appointed former Leeds, Newcastle, Middlesbrough and Real Madrid centre-back and all-round general crock, Jonathan Woodgate, as a scout. Go ahead.
Didn't see that one coming.
Did not see that coming in any way, shape or form. It just popped up on the Echo's news feed this morning. I was like, you think, nah. Oh, okay, yeah. So yeah, apparently he's going to be scouting Spain and Portugal for us.
Madness. I can't, but I looked into him a little touch after it had been announced, and I was like, he only retired last year. This summer just gone, in fact. Insanely. Insane. Look, I don't like him. I haven't liked him since that Woodgate and Bowyer case from the early noughties. Like, obviously him and Bowyer were caught beating up an Asian guy in Leeds city centre. I've not liked him since then. I think he was a good footballer. Yeah. But as a person or anything, never got a feel for him as being a good bloke or anything like that. You know, he was indicted. What's the word? Indicted.
What are you trying to say?
He was sentenced to 100 hours community service, whereas Bowyer completely got off, whereas Woodgate never. Yeah. So there's something bad in his character there. Yeah.
Or at least there was when he was 20 years old.
Yeah, when he was 20 years old. Now I'm not saying it was racial, because I have actually looked into this over the last week. I was listening to the Long Ball Street podcast with Michael Dewberry, and he was the one who had to stand up and basically was lied the whole way through the court case and stuff like that. And then in the last time, he turned around to Bowyer and Woodgate and was like, I've got to tell the truth type of thing. But Dewberry's adamant that it wasn't racially motivated. But the fact is, when you're a Premier League footballer and there's 5 of you, you don't chase one guy through the streets of Leeds city centre and beat the shit out of him and then lie about it.
Yeah, maybe. I'm sure there's a Liverpool captain who might have an argument about things like that. But on the flip of it, I love Jonathan Woodgate as a footballer, and that aside, and it's easy to say that aside. Well, it's not easy to say that aside, but always seems sound. Look, he was one of those guys that if he'd not had his injury problems, I'd have loved him at Liverpool. He was such a gifted footballer, so talented with the ball, tall. You know, he was that everyone used to rave about. Rio Ferdinand and Ledley King. Well, he was in that bracket of centre back. So, and obviously it relates zero to him being a scout. Bit of a mad decision, bit one out of left field, as they say. But very interesting to see what comes of that, and whether we start picking up any random Spanish or Portuguese starlets off the back of Jonathan Woodgate. Anything else you want to mention before we go?
No, mate. Nothing at all. I suppose the only thing would be, check out later on, because we'll be releasing our fantasy football teams. We've mentioned all week that we're going to be doing the Sky Sports Fantasy Football. It's on skysports.com/fantasy football. I think the pin is 8234280. We'll confirm that and we'll put that in the video right here. But yeah, check the channel later on today. I'll be revealing my amazing side and Paul will be revealing his
side.
Meh.
Yeah, I didn't put any thought into it. I basically teared the team out. Stay tuned for that. Later on the channel. If you haven't done so already, click the subscribe button.